All right, guys, welcome to another podcast. Today, we're actually going to have a very interesting guest, one that is very rarely going to be shown to the mainstream media. We're going to have a local voice from one of the Palestinian Christians that lives in Bethlehem. My honored guest today is Elias Baboun. I might be butchering your name. Sorry, sir. So a little background about him. Like I said, he's a Christian Palestinian in Bethlehem. He holds an intermediate diploma in industrial electronics from the United States. He has been working as an educator for over 40 years. He established an association of vocational education and training institutions. And he's also the founder of YEDF-NGO in Bethlehem, where he holds also the position of CEO. Basically, sir, today I would like our audience to hear a little bit about your activism, because part of what you're doing, and as you reached out to me to share with me, is your work to basically create a dialogue between the Palestinians and Israel to bring about peace and a lasting peace for our region. Can you just tell the people a little bit, first of all, though, just a little bit about your background? I just gave a brief bio for you, but tell the folks here who are watching who you are, where you grew up, a little bit about yourself, so they can understand who the person is that is in front of them here today.
For the fact that I was from the early 18 as a teacher and trainer, and I was almost like this for 40 years. And I was focused only on education and training. And in that time, we have here the Israeli authorities, which mean that you don't need to go further in politics or something like that. It was forbidden, and nobody will touch it. It is a taboo. And my family always that tell me never go to the politics.
Mm-hmm.
And I keep that almost 40 years. Then I established several NGOs, and I try to make development in education or in women, children, something like that. But I face that everything is related to politics, which mean I have make big mistakes that I avoid to go into politics, because politics are related to economy, and the state are related to religion. Both issue for elements are quite the major clusters that control everything. You cannot split one of the four from it. And I find that our political situation is quite in a bad needed to have peace. So I try to go to the popular work instead just in education or in training. It was quite from 2005. I moved to work in the political popular issues, such elections, local elections, something like that. I run several municipal elections. I get well known from this issue because I was not known everywhere, because I go early to the school, I come back late, and nobody knows me.
Mm-hmm.
So when I try to go to run the elections, nobody has said this will bring one vote. But I bring some good votes that the people start thinking why he get, from where he gets.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that I have resources and I have the capability. So I move from 2005, 10, 11, so all these till we need to arrive to the general elections that was run in Palestine recently, 21, 22, something like that, 20.
Hmm.
And
Yeah.
I established a list from Gaza, Jerusalem, and West Bank. But unfortunately, the election was stopped or blocked or freezed, and everyone goes home. But I kept my word in bringing peace. First, I tried to bring peace between the Palestinians themselves.
Mm-hmm.
So I went to Gaza. I met Hamas people after a while. I went there more than 10 times through
Mm-hmm.
Eretz with the difficulty of traveling, but
Mm-hmm.
I do it. And finally, I met Mr. Haniya, the
Mm-hmm.
head of the Hamas people.
Mm-hmm.
After I work with I met with the second row people, but I don't accept. I need to go to the first row for the elite leaders. And actually, I did it. And I tell him why you are in a war with the Palestinians. He tried to tell me the story. I tell him, this story, I hear it in Ramallah, and you told me the same. I cannot know who is the guilty between you.
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise, what about if it is not possible to bring you Palestinian together at the first stage? What about if I bring peace between you and your neighbors? He asked, who are our neighbors? I tell you, the people who sharing our land together. This is, he said, yeah, you are meaning the Jewish people. I tell him, yes, that's the people. And he was happy. And he gave me a sign that he will go to the peace.
Mm-hmm.
But you can see by the end, nobody take the chance or the golden chances that was there, not for me alone, but everywhere also.
Mm-hmm.
And neither the Israeli authority, neither the Palestinian authority trust me in that.
Mm-hmm.
They don't hear from me and they take it just a joke. And actually, I went there every while after any war, because the wars are there always in Gaza. I went last time, I think before October 7, 23, and I came back. I see the situation there. I said to the Israeli authorities, ministry, or the IDF people, or the COGAT people, that if you are depending on this fence will not protect you.
Mm-hmm.
They write, I tell him, I can sign also the paper that you prepare. He tell me, don't need. But what I was expecting is happened. The fence was down, the people are inside, and happen what happens.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know, I am not a god, but if they believe me in that time, perhaps we can save all these lives from both sides.
Mm-hmm.
Because the story is very complicated and you cannot know exactly who started because it is a mutual unfair, it's continuous from 100 years at least. And you cannot understand because both sides had make unfair for each other.
Mm-hmm.
And you cannot say who comes first, the hen or the egg.
Right.
And this is, I think, the problem is from the leaders at that time. I think most of the Arab leaders were mistaken also in the partition plan.
Hmm.
If they accept the partition plan in the 47 UN one, I think maybe we are now in a better situation that we are now. But also what happens is happens, yani nobody can say because, but if I were at the time of Hajj al-Husseini, I will accept the division plan. But they try to throw the Jewish people in the sea,
Hmm.
and the Jewish people will act, and this will act and never find wars and wars and wars and wars. Children to be died, young people died from both sides. A lot of money you invest in military weapons, and when you ask a little money for school or church or synagogue or any place for poor people, they said we don't have budget.
Hmm.
So it's quite stupid.
Yeah.
Why you spend all this money on military? One tank could cost something, millions, and one missile is cost other. But if you make a school, maybe you close a prison, and
You
if you
know,
open, yes,
one of the points that I've actually been making about the Palestinian Israeli conflict, and like you pointed out, Haj Amin al-Husseini, unfortunately, is the godfather, I would say, of the Islamic revolution in the land of Israel, right, against the Jews, and joining alongside with the Nazis and so on and so on. Um, and so it's like he was on a rampage, right, to destroy the Jewish people and failed. But it and so in essence, that's what basically affected the Arabs' claim to this region and having their own self-determination and so on alongside with the Jewish people. But beside that, you also made an interesting point, I think, as well, and that's one of the points that I make quite a lot when I'm asked about the problem. How do we solve it? And one of the answers I usually give, because of my observation, because we enter homes in Gaza, we enter homes Judea, Samaria, and the West Bank, and so on. And one of the things that I see constant is this brainwashing for young children, young Palestinian children, and the demonizing of Israel and Jews. And it's essentially, my point is that the bottom line problem, the underlying problem is education. And it's an evil education for young children who don't get to they don't get to enjoy their childhood. They don't get to have fun child games, right? But instead they get this propaganda that really shapes their worldview. And then when they grow up into adults, it's almost impossible to have dialogue. So if we were able to change the educational system within the Palestinian community, then hopefully hope that, let's say, in a generation, 40 years, we have people you can have a dialogue with. Is that something that you're noticing within the Palestinian community that
I
is,
think I
could be
think
part of that problem?
I think yes, and in the same time, no,
Okay.
because from the past, many are waiting this to be, and never we reached for it, because there is some sort of conflict of interest for both leaders from both sides and from both religious leaders. So, as they need to cover themselves, their positions, their privileges, they start to make it as a religious war or something deviling the other side.
Hmm.
So, the exact problem that they use these cows to keep their positions.
Hmm.
This is the issues.
Right.
All the leaders in all the past, in the history, the same issue. For that, I think if uh, we said or we educate our young generation from both sides, It is not enough to be in the Palestinian one.
Hmm.
Also, we needed to have it in the Israeli side from both generations. And from the early stages, we can find a common dialogue between them. And if we give them the right information and avoid them the understanding or brainwashing information, wrong information, because everyone in every side are deviling the other side.
Hmm.
And the only source for the information is from the leaders, media, and religious people, leaders. There is no other voices that show them something. And actually, most of the people are busy in their daily lives. They cannot go to the books
Hmm.
and see by themselves the real issue. I think if the anyone or any clever people or person can dig in just in the religious book, he will find a lot of common issue between the three religions, which
Hmm.
mean not the Islamic concept is against the Jewish. We can see there is a small spots here and there, but there is a lot of majority of common issue between the three religion and both nation. So education with all the traditional way, it will come again to this point. We
Hmm.
need something new, education, real education that is not to be oriented to go to one place. It will be education wide that everyone can discover the reality by his own. And as he is wise, he can decide where is the problem, where is the right answer.
Hmm.
Now, as I told you, the only resources for the information is the media. And the
Hmm.
media is with the power people.
Hmm.
And the power people are feeding this media with their principles.
Hmm. Yeah.
And
And a lot of
actually,
propaganda that, yeah,
and this
yeah,
this propaganda,
yeah.
it will not be for yani for sure as a public interest. It will be a personal interest.
Hmm.
If they
Yeah.
are looking for a public interest, nobody will say nothing. But they send this information to protect their positions, their privileges in both sides.
Hmm.
If we are clever, we can give them a chance to go down the tree that they are, yani, everyone climb it, and he cannot go down. We have to find a way to bring both parties down the tree with yani, we keep in their face without yani, some uh, big steps that they must to do it. And the people must understand that people can live together, but the leaders is the problem, cannot live together.
Hmm. That's the sentiment I've heard by quite a few Palestinians that I've had the privilege of having on the street interviews, so to speak, right? Just asking what does the simple person on the street feel? And I noticed something very interesting is that the majority of them, like 90+%, will either believe that our government, Israel's government, is corrupt and bad, but at the same time, they say the same about the Palestinian representatives, that they're corrupt and bad. And like what you just said, that each is using their political positioning for their different ideals. Um, But the thing that I'm also interested in, because you're a Christian Palestinian, right? And I've also noticed that it's not easy uh, for the Christian representation within the Palestinian community where the majority is Islamic or Muslim. How does that dynamic work for you? I guess, for one in Bethlehem, but can you also speak about that for the Christian Palestinians in the West Bank and or in Gaza, where you've also visited and met with? How does that work for you guys?
Actually, the basic or principle of Christianity, they teach us to be safe, calm, tolerance. This principle, they were fed in us to keep inside, never to be involved, never to be taking responsibility at the national level. So most of the Christians are quite keeping themselves inside,
Mm-hmm.
but they mistaken. They are mistaken. If they can go and prove themselves and see and they trust themselves, nobody can stop them. So they can compete and also declare freely their opinion. And this is not a matter of minority or majority. It is the quality.
Mm-hmm.
So if we educate our children to be leaders enough, perhaps we can find something else. Even we are just little people. Uh, as I told you, uh, most of the religious leaders, they told us quite a bad story about Muslims.
Mm-hmm.
And we grew up with this idea. And actually, we don't know what is this religion is. The Christians, as they are trusting in the old books like Torah and the new books for the Bible, we can say there is a link between the Christians and Jewish people, as from the history or from the religious book or books.
Mm-hmm.
But if somebody goes deep in the Islamic religion, they will find that the Jewish and the Muslims are more near than the Christians.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe somebody does not know or find it strange. And my plan is something political, but actually it is based on the backbone of the religious cluster of Jerusalem.
Mm-hmm.
Jerusalem and Hebron is something very important to bring people together.
Right.
And actually, I tell the Jewish people, I am a Christian, but before I am a Jew, because we know that Jesus is a Jew person
Right.
before,
Right.
before everything. His
Mm-hmm.
mom is a Jew woman.
Mm-hmm.
By the Jewish law, every woman has a child, he will be a Jewish.
Mm-hmm.
And for that, we have passed the two-thirds. If we are Christians, we are Christians and Jews in the same times. Now, if we look to the Muslims, the meaning of Islam was quite distortion and always shown the bad face of Islam, political Islam,
Mm-hmm.
or some fundamental Islam or radical Islam. But I think there is also moderate Islam.
Mm-hmm.
If we can focus in the moderate Islam and we use it to educate the new generations also, even from the educational religious side, we have to bring Jewish, Christian, and Muslims from early stages and show them the coexistence possibility and dialogue, and see in the ground the other side of your neighbors, if you can say neighbors.
Mm-hmm.
But if you just heard that your neighbors are or throwing stones or bombs or rockets, or the other side, just soldiers bring bullets and killing the other side, this is the only story that you have. But if you go inside, both sides, you can find doctors, people, teachers, well-educated people in this side and in this side.
Mm-hmm.
And every one of those, by the end of the day, he need to go to a coffee shop to bring a cup of coffee or something like that.
Right.
Nobody need to kill each other.
Right.
But as the leaders, both leaders, not just the political one,
Mm-hmm.
and the religious one, as they use those people as customers, they are afraid that the customers will demolish it. If some, for example, if all move to Jewish religion, what the priest can do? He don't have a work. So he will try always to show you that no, don't be at that side because they are the devil.
Right.
And they kill Jesus. And you can see in the history there is a lot of causes that they use it to hide the real intention.
Mm-hmm.
And actually, as I told you, as Christians can call themselves Jewish people, we can say that every believer is a Jewish, and in the same time is a Christian, and in the same time is Muslim.
Mm-hmm.
So sometimes if I tell the Jewish people, you are Muslims, they are very angry
Mm-hmm.
because they use just the word of Muslims as a religion, not use the word of believers or the people of the book,
Mm-hmm.
because the people of the book in the Quran was mentioned for the Christian and the Jewish people. And Prophet Muhammad tell his followers, when sometimes you don't find in your books something not clear, you go back to the people book, which means you go to the Jewish people and you go to the Christian and open the books and find the answers,
Mm-hmm.
which means Prophet Muhammad, he don't cancel the past religion. He comes and continue. And this is the story that religious people, they will not accept this floating religion because everyone need his customs,
Right.
his customers. But if we think another side, as we are all common in human beings, and there is a lot of common issue between us, and in the past, not just from the early stages, the 48 till now, in the centuries, you can see Jewish and Muslims were living together in Spain, Andalus, and even in Medina.
Mm-hmm. That's right.
And Prophet Muhammad has set a special document that arrange some sort of constitution, how deal with the people, different people with different religions, with different backgrounds, and some comes from Mecca and some comes from Medina. And you can see that at the Turkish Ottoman time, there were some sort of joint living between all the nations. Just in the modern life, we have this conflict. But before, it was not. And actually, if you can say, for example, we can say the Balfour Declaration, the Palestinians, they are very, very angry from this story.
Mm-hmm.
I believe now, if you go to all the Palestinians in Palestine abroad, tell him, what is the Balfour Declaration, for example?
Mm-hmm.
You don't know.
Right.
He said, yeah, he gave our land to the Jewish. He promised them in that. Did you have the text? No. Did you know something? But in the Balfour Declaration, there was written something about the Palestinians and something of the homeland for Jewish people and the rights, and the important issue, the rights.
Right.
And
which included your religious rights for both the Muslims and the Christians and the Jews who lived in Palestine at the time, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
For that, if we are said there is two type of major rights that comes from the human rights, there is two both rights, which is the religious one and the political one.
Mm-hmm.
And actually, perhaps this is the first time you heard it. Balfour, he said that the Jews who comes from abroad, they have not to lose their privileges in their countries in Palestine. And I think he was mistaken here.
Mm-hmm.
He think that the Jewish who comes up from abroad, they have some sort of other rights
Mm-hmm.
from those who are living inside. And actually, when Ben Gurion established the state of Israel, he think also to make some sort of differences between the rights between the Jewish people and the other ones who are the Palestinians in the Arab side.
Mm-hmm.
I think that political rights are nothing against their religious rights. The religious right is more important.
Mm-hmm.
And Balfour has think that the political one is the most important and quite forget or making less for the religious rights.
Mm-hmm.
And here we see not as the people are trusting that the Palestinians are looking to be equal to the Jewish one. I think the Jewish people need to be equal to those the Palestinian right in religious life.
Mm-hmm.
Because you can see Palestinian can buy a land everywhere. Jewish cannot buy a land.
Mm-hmm.
You get it?
Yeah. Yeah.
Muslims, Christians can go to the Temple Mount freely, but Jewish still not.
That's right.
So if we focus on the religious rights, it will be better than just political rights.
Mm-hmm.
Or in general, we said the human rights must be unequal.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And this is the basic story of the conflict. Because if you have a piece of cake, how you can divide it between the people in equal?
Mm-hmm.
Everyone, he need the whole cake to come with his part, and nobody need to share it, or nobody need to see his neighbor. Actually, if your neighbor is fine, you are also fine.
Mm-hmm.
But if your neighbor is in bad condition and you surround yourself with a fence, we cannot stay years unless we have some sort of friction between those neighbors, because he will see that he has water. This one he hasn't. This has a green grass. The other one he don't have.
Mm-hmm.
And he tried to ask him, "Can you give me water?" He told, "No, this is our part. You deal with your part."
Right.
And this issue will come later and something to explode and happen what we see now.
Yeah. Yeah.
As I told you, uh, for example, if I am Israeli government, why I have to invest a lot of money in the military issues? For, for, for example, if I invest in Gaza, make some sort of development, perhaps this is not being seen the 7th October.
Mm-hmm.
And you can see now we are in a federation without we agree on it. The same currency, the same air, the same environment, the same taxes, everything is together. You cannot split it.
Mm-hmm.
The same budget. And even the Knesset now are controlling the whole area. For that, if we are looking from a democratic point of view, where is the Palestinian representatives in the Knesset?
Mm-hmm.
As Knesset take decisions on behalf on Gaza, on West Bank. For those, the Israeli, Arab Israeli in the Knesset, yes, they are there. But what about the West Bankers and what about the Gazans?
Mm-hmm.
If we are taking decisions on behalf of them, we have to have their representatives. This is at least.
Yeah. I mean,
And
that's a big issue, of course, that you're bringing up because it's an issue of sovereignty that Israel has not exercised, as you know, in Judea, Samaria, or is also known the West Bank. Israel left Bethlehem, where you live, and so you know what it was like when Israel was controlling where you lived, and then what it was like when we handed it over and gave it over to the PA and basically released ourselves from that responsibility, if you like. So it's definitely a big issue, and it's something that I think Israeli politicians need to take. They need to take a decision, a hard decision. Somebody needs to make that decision. Either you annex these areas, they're under the PA, or you hand them over 100%, right? Because as you know, right now there's martial law, if you like, or martial control in the West Bank, where we have to send the military if there's terrorists and this and that. And that's not a reality for Palestinians. That's not a good reality at all. I agree with you with that 100%. Although with Gaza, for example, that was given over in 2005, 100% to be under the control of the Palestinians there. And look what what we got in return, unfortunately, because of the players, like you pointed out, that took the political reins, being Hamas. have run Gaza to the ground. And you asking about why not developing and so on. Israel's put in billions of shekels of building supplies and I know cement and rebar and everything to build, which we now learn went into the tunnel systems and not to beachfront resorts, for example, to help bring tourism there. So it is in Qatar, of course, we know that Israel sent money via Qatar and had that money come from Qatar into Gaza and so on. And then there's a lot of Israelis that are angry about that because they said essentially we funded terrorism. So it's kind of like it's this evil cycle, unfortunately. And I think your observations are correct. But how do we solve that, right? I mean, because on the one hand, Israel does show goodwill, but then we get slapped in the face for that goodwill with the terrorists that we've seen in Gaza. How do you break that evil cycle is really the question, right?
Actually, the question is very difficult to answer and need very wise people to decide and experience, wide experience indeed.
Mm.
I see now the West Bank with the current or the forecast settlements, we cannot divide between Israel and West Bank. So they are interact together. For that, I think we must have the Palestinian state in Gaza, not in West Bank, but the Palestinian in West Bank, no, the government or the authority in Palestine, in Gaza, to be together with the Israeli state in a federation with a joint rule of the West Bank and settlements together. So we have two states, one in Israel, we know it. The new one is the Palestinian one to be in Gaza. Then we merge them together and to become one federal state. It is a Jerusalem state, namely, and the West Bank, including Jerusalem, from both sides, East and West, to be shared by ruling it from both sides, federally. As soon we agree on that, we are not talking that we are neglecting the two-state solution. It is one-state solution with two states. It is a combination with several. But we can agree if we have one representative in the UN or two. We can see that it's not an important issue. The most important is how we can rule, administrate the joint region in the West Bank. I think there is no way to have a Palestinian state 100% as you think or you said in the West Bank because it is mixed together.
Right.
It must be a federal joint rule, and we can give Gaza a self-rule. Israel has its own self-rule, and they manage in a way how to rule or to govern the West Bank, including the population, because in the West Bank there is a lot of Jewish people in the settlements also.
Right. And Jewish history and whatnot, right? So if you're to uproot all the Jews from these areas, you're uprooting them from their, like you were saying, their religious, historic heritage, right? But at the same time, it's not that where the Jews are living right now in those very areas that are part of their heritage. It's not in the heart of a Palestinian town or village or city. So it's already naturally kind of split up, actually, like you were pointing out here earlier. Um, so yeah, just to give the audience who doesn't understand the layout, because they don't really understand how things are run there. But there's like a few exceptions, like Shechem or Nablus, right, where you have Jacob's well, Joseph's tomb, right? And so these are, of course, Jewish within a predominant Palestinian city. And so, how do you manage that, right? And how do you manage both the religious rights, both for the Jewish people, Muslim and Christians, of course, because as you know very well, you have a very strong Christian heritage in Shechem, in Jerusalem, in Bethlehem, where you live, etc., in Nazareth and whatever. But I'm talking about what's considered in the West Bank, and these are important for people to understand that each one has their heritage.
Sure.
Yeah.
You can see if we are talking about the political cluster or pillar or any issue, we can say there is a lot of best practices around the whole world to resolve some conflict. For example, in general, we can see that the states had made the United States and the EU making some EU countries confederation. For that, if we tell a special federation for us as a part of, now I will talk about the regional confederation, you can see that in the past, two neighbors, two countries with one river passing through them, they are killing each other for the river. Who will control the river? Finally, they agree this river is a federal role, and they join each other to control this river both together, and they resolve the conflict. The same practice, I think, we can apply with wise perceptions to be in the West Bank and settlements, the core of the problem, including Jerusalem.
Mm-hmm.
If we said, if we go to the partition plan, you see that Jerusalem area was a special international area.
Right. And the original plan, correct.
And we are here in the same problem. This area can be some sort of joint area. As I tell you now, we link it with the regional level because you can see Israel is a very small city or home or country and surrounded with many Arab Muslim countries with huge populations. And always now we have a friction between this nation and those, or neighbors, some in Syria, some in Lebanon, something in Egypt, now in Yemen, and sometimes in Iran, which is not Arab.
Right, right.
And for that, if we dismiss the regional solution, we are mistaken because the whole package must be dealt together. If we go to the legacy of the history of all the nations who are here, for example, when we are talking about the promised land from the Bible, that comes from the river to the river, we can apply now in the modern life and virtual issue, not by military. If, for example, if Israel now need to occupy all the Arab and Muslim countries, by the end, what she can do? She need a committee from each country to rule this country.
Mm-hmm.
Why I have to occupy them by military, but I can sign an agreement with them and everything will go on. So for that, as the Holy Land here, including Jerusalem, are the cause of the problem, and everyone said, this is our land, Eretz, Zion, or something like that. We tell, this is not our property. This is God's property.
Mm-hmm.
We are visitor here. We have to benefit from this land as much we can, live together, and send it to other generations. For that, we can say this land with the whole entire Arab and Muslims country become one unit as the European unit or union.
Mm-hmm.
Which means if we are talking about passport identity or something like that, we said not European identity, we said Jerusalem identity. And each one has his own identity, equal like France, Britain, or others, they have two flags.
Mm-hmm.
Which means their own identity is there, but the collective nation together. If we agree in that, Jerusalem area become a public, national, international, regional, local property, which means forever, for all. And you can find that the partition plan is saying this issue, but in another word.
Mm-hmm.
And they call it a corpus separatorum, which means a special body that is independent and it is for international control. We can find a lot of political, religious clusters and answers to avoid the current killing in both sides. Now, if we are going to Gaza, we see that going into the Gaza city will not end the war.
Mm-hmm.
For that, if I am the Prime Minister of Israel, I make something very near to my plan, which is I don't push the people to go to Egypt or Sinai or everywhere. I will host them in Israel in a special campus. And if they come to the Israel side, this will guarantee that they will come back to their homes after the end of the war. Second, Israel can control the civilians who pass into Israel. And for those who are not with the peaceful solutions, if they insist to have war, either they have to face it or they leave the country. But the civilians now are mixed with those people together. You cannot split the resistance people between civilians because they use the same facilities inside.
Mm-hmm.
And you can see the losses, big losses, if some sort of one command of Hamas is living in one tent, they need to shoot him they shot the entire region because it is not possible to send direct missiles to them. And why we have to send missiles if we can agree? We
Mm-hmm.
have to agree on something. We have to say, now Gaza is less more than the West Bank even before 2005,
Mm-hmm.
which means now if the Israeli people think that Hamas just only caused the problem, not. I think the PA is guilty also
Mm-hmm.
because they start to be unfair with Gaza in budget, positions, buildings, everything. You can see the level in 2005 in West Bank is very high in according or to in equal or regarding to those in Gaza. So as you can see, the Gazan people are starting to ask for their rights from the PA, and they not getting. They explode with Israel.
Uh-huh. Right. Right. That's interesting. So essentially, what you're saying is because the PA held back the resources, right? I mean, I'll give you an example of something that I think is just outrageous. According to the JIJ, Jerusalem Institute of Justice, they made a like a 10-point video about the some facts about the Palestinian-Israeli conflict that many people don't know. And one of the points that they made on that video was how the Palestinians have received 25 times the Marshall Plan to rebuild Europe after World War II per person per capita. That to me is outrageous, right? If you think about that, that you're talking about what? Let's say roughly 4 million people that have a potential of 25 times of what went into rebuild Europe to go into West Bank and Gaza. What have we done with the money, right? And like you're saying, that the potential's there, the finances are there, but they're not being streamed to the people and for the actual real causes and the real needs. Instead, it goes into building underground tunnel systems over 600 kilometers in Gaza, which is only 42 kilometers long, right? And widest is about 12 kilometers. So for such a small landmass, you put in billions of dollars of that money that should have been going into schools, education, infrastructure, electricity, water, right? Because Israel provides the water for them. Israel provides the electricity for them because they don't build infrastructure, right? Because somebody asked me, well, that's because Israel provides wants that control. I'm like, no, Israel doesn't want that control. The CEO of the electric company in Israel, they go to the Knesset every year for a hearing saying, this is the outstanding debt that the PA owes us for all this money for free electricity, right? And then so who pays for that electricity? I do. I pay extra money for my electric bill, right? For people who aren't going to pay for it because that's the only way they can basically make money because they have to make money as a corporation and so on. So all that to say, where's the money? Where's the infrastructure that could be built? And you're saying it's people that are at the top echelon that are holding it for themselves and making themselves rich, essentially.
The corruption is most of the problem, and even they say in Italian, fare, disfare, sempre lavorare. It is a say that which mean you have to build and you have to destroy and you have to build and you have to destroy. That keep you always working. And
Right. Right.
and what happens in Palestine when we invest, we are not in a strategic planning, and everything was not to be accumulated. Everything is demolished with another effort. So it is not well prepared, well planned, and and there is the corruption.
Mm.
And as the Palestinian nation are without a big experience how to build a country, they will mistaken because they don't know how to deal with
Mm.
such big issue. I think the same issue will come again with Gaza after the war.
Mm.
We must not handle all these to one side. I
Mm.
think it will need some international approaches that deal with construction, healing, and everything from the starting from zero to the end.
Mhm.
But I think also as Gaza wide now limited a lot. Before in the partition plan was wider. It goes wide, very near in Negev.
Mm.
I think if we need to give a full power for Gaza, we need an airport, we need a seaport, we need a land port. In Egypt, we find one, but I think Gaza Strip borders can reach to Eilat. Now you can see Eilat port is not working sufficient because the Yemeni Houthi is sending missile for which mean this seaport is not active during the war. So
Mhm.
what Israelis need from it? If we give it to the Palestinians, perhaps the war stops and they can benefit and they find a release from there. And actually, the Ramon port, you see now, the Ramon port is not working also. And if one need to travel from Gaza, he has to travel across Tel Aviv and Jordan everywhere.
Mhm.
Why we have to do it there? We have an airport down in the south, especially for the Gazan, so they can be.
Mhm.
As for the border, external border, we can see that the IDF can control it as it now. Because if there is not big trust that other side can deal with it, okay, the borders can be kept from the IDF externally, police forces inside the West Bank, not a heavy army in Gaza, just police forces also, or border forces, police. And as soon we built Gaza ready to welcome people, we move them from Israel. And if Israel making this will show the entire world that this is not a suicide or
Mhm.
you can see this will give Israel a good reputation because she bring the human civilians to it and she hosts them, and this will change what is now said that Israel are killing all the people or the babies or the ladies or something like that.
Mhm.
In this situation, Israel can use those settlements that are in the Gaza envelope to host those Gazan people for a while until we built Gaza again.
Mhm.
Then they can go little by little back home to their homes. And you can see later on the rights of the people who are in Arabia Saudiya or in Qatar or have the same rights the one who has in Tel Aviv.
Mm-hmm.
And everyone can move from his current place to the other places with some restrictions and wise control that not all the population are going when one shift to one rich area, but we can see that we can send the people according the time and the resources and the progress of the development in each area.
Mm-hmm.
But we have a common passport for all the nations in the Middle East, which is called Jerusalemite passport.
Mm-hmm.
And now we can see how many Arab and Muslim pilgrims can visit the Holy Land, including Jerusalem.
Mm-hmm.
And you can see we can link Hajj, the pilgrims of Mecca, with pilgrim of Jerusalem. You can see how many millions Muslims goes to Mecca at least twice a year.
Mm-hmm.
So if we prepare some sort of regional pilgrims before or after the Hajj period, the country become very rich, very wealthy, and just offering tourism services. We're not talking about industrial, we don't talk economic, just in tourism, and especially the Arab and Muslim tourism. We're not talking about the Christian tourism. We are not talking about the Jewish tourism.
Mm-hmm.
Imagine how many hotels or infrastructures to be ready to host or welcome all those Muslims who comes to Jerusalem.
That would be pretty significant for sure. We're going to have to wrap this up. Unfortunately, we could have a lot of very in-depth conversation, and I really appreciate the interesting points that you brought up. But as we wrap this up, there's just one question I want to ask you, because this concerns me, and we were talking about propaganda before, and it's not just coming from the Palestinian side, it's not coming just from the Israeli side, each one shooting at each other through the social media or what have you. But one of the things that bothers me quite deeply is the misrepresentation of the Christian community in Palestine or in Bethlehem specifically. So we had this popular TV host. He has his own channel. His name's Tucker Carlson. You probably heard of him. He had Pastor Munthar Isaac on his show, where they discussed Christian persecution by Israel, right? Which I thought was very, very misleading, because I know a little bit about Munthar Isaac. I know a little bit about his movement. I know about the Christ at the Checkpoint. And I know how it's quite frankly, to put it very straight, it's a political movement to demonize Israel and not deal with the real issues of the conflict, not to have actual dialogue. Because ironically, right, the conference itself is in Bethlehem, and me as an Israeli, I can't even go and participate because I'm not allowed into Bethlehem as an Israeli. But you, on the other hand, are allowed into Jerusalem, and we could have had the conference in Jerusalem, and then we can have an actual dialogue, right? So just a little caveat that the audience isn't aware of, right? But he's persecuted by Jews. Crazy. And then the other most latest one was this Orthodox nun, Agapia Stephanopoulos, right? And so she was doing the same thing. It's pushing the same narrative that Israel is persecuting the Christians and doing terrible things to Christians in Bethlehem. She claims to be a nun there. Do you know these people, and what can you say to that, to its falsities and or truth behind what they're saying? Because I find it very hard to believe that Israel has anything to do with any persecution of Christians in a place where Israel doesn't have sovereignty or control in. But I could be wrong.
No, no, you are right. Actually, it is the same analog between a blank paper. The blank paper is fully white. Perhaps it have some sort of black spot. If we are just focusing on the black spot, we see all the darkness. We not see the other clear, crystal white issue from the same window or from the same. And sometimes the propaganda is be affected for some sort of difficult articles. I think there is no Israeli effort to harm the Christians in the area. Now, the most important issue is the movement. The movement is restricted due to the security issues between Israel and West Bank. If I am, again, as a person who deal with the Israeli issues, I will release some more permit for not just Christians, for most of their moderate people to go back to work in Israel, and also to come back to the years, for the years of after the 67 war. It was easy. I don't know if you were there. For any Jews, people come to the market here in Bethlehem, buy cheap vegetables, fresh vegetables, and go back to their houses. I remember in this house from I where live, Israeli ministers comes here also, which mean there is in a past experience that both nations, with including religious issue, can manage. But as the gap is going bigger and bigger and bigger, we don't know, as I told you in the beginning, who will start. We are sure that both sides are making unfair to each other. But who start, we don't know.
Right.
And for that, we have to stop, and we have to forget all the unfair in the past, open a new chapter, new page, depend on quite equality in all rights, which means that not the Palestinians become equal to the Jews, but the Jews can be equal to the Palestinian Arab in religious issues, so they can go to the Temple Mount freely. They can go to make prayers, visits freely, and we can resolve all the problem. Because what has with the problem with Oslo, they postpone the question of Jerusalem for the final stages. And during that, when we arrive to the problems, we cannot find the solutions. If I was there also in the Oslo time, the first problem I have to resolve the Jerusalem one. If you find the right solution for Jerusalem, that can apply for all the others.
Mm-hmm.
This is the mistake. They postpone it, and it is the key of the problem. Jerusalem is the most important. If you are managing Jerusalem, the whole entire region, it will be there. For that, my plan is focusing on Jerusalem, local, regional issue, equality, fair, transparency, and good governors to be by elections. Now you can see that in Israel, they make 5 or 6 times elections while we don't have many in Palestine.
Mm-hmm.
To have a lot of elections is a problem. To have a less of elections is a problem. You have to be a balanced issue.
Correct.
As you see, now inside the Knesset, it is about 50-50, which means just one person who can decide which party can win or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
This is not very good because we say in Arabic, the boat have to stand with 3 legs. If you have 2 legs, it will not be there. And I see when we have this new Jerusalem country, we have the major 3 parties. The people from West Bank, Gaza, the people, and people from Israel. And if you find the cake now is divided by 3, not by 2.
Mm-hmm.
And if we said we don't need the veto, such that we see now in the States, we said no, important decisions has to be at least with two-thirds of the House of the People.
Mm-hmm.
And we can see if, for example, if we use the Knesset campus, good. If the other one, we can build a new one. But if the current Knesset has a 120 seats, we can say 60 seats are for Israel, 30 seats are for Gaza, 30 seats for those who are in the West Bank, including those who are Jewish people also.
Mm-hmm.
In this time, when you are trying, for example, to bring electricity or water to some region, we stay in the Knesset, we decide, and you can see Israel alone cannot do nothing because we have two-thirds of them. And the Palestinians they cannot do nothing. And the Gazans cannot do nothing. They have to convince some Israeli, or some Israeli convince some Palestinian with the benefit of this decision.
Mm-hmm.
And as soon they manage this way have to arrive an agreement, this is better than talking by bullets or by rockets or by force. They can discuss it. They said, no, when this water comes from this my land, it will make me problem. Perhaps we put it there. So they can understand it because they have to need every party understand the other side needs. If you make some sort of decision without considering your neighbor needs, as soon as you are in good will, perhaps will make problem for your neighbor. And it will be easy for you to make some small modification to avoid harming your neighbor, if you know what is his need.
Mm-hmm.
And Israel was mistaken to make the famous ghetto. It is closed for themselves by a fence, and they forget the neighbors. So wastewater or drainage water or bad water, they keep it to go in the West Bank area from one settlement. This is not good. Or you have to make some solutions that care about the other side needs. Or for example, in Jenin, they make the carbon, this one, they make a lot of fumes. This will affect the Israeli side. So we can find some solution to prevent provoking your neighbor. Because we are sharing the same land, share environment, share resources, the same issues. For example, if we put this separation wall without a special water release, the water comes and makes some problems for this or that. For the wall, it was running the water by nature. Now the fence is restricting it and making problem for the people. And Israel now is try to protect himself by this wall. But you can see the wall is not protecting it. Because the one who need to make problems or to make an accident in Israel, he will not pass from the walls. Normal people who need to go from the checkpoints. I urge the Israeli people from this meeting to open again the checkpoints. The people can go back to work in Israel, and this will avoid us to unexplode again what happens in Gaza, perhaps not very soon to be in West Bank, but if we keep this pressure on the people, stupid people will start think again with the military means. And we see again the 7th October again comes from the West Bank. Not just from Gaza. We have to find work for those who are passing to work in Israel in the past. Hundreds of thousands of people for almost 2 years without work. And I visit Israel several times, occasionally. I have a special permit to go daily to Israel. Now, with the war, it is very restricted. But I see that I went to Jaffa. I see the situation there is also bad. The Israeli economical issue is also affected with this clause. For that, the first start is to open the checkpoints with clear control for those people who are quite normal or moderate, or they have been working in Israel from a lot of years. And I think now in Gaza, they understand. Now, if everything is finished, I believe if somebody need to ask Gazan people to have 7 October again, they will not do it. Because they see what is the result.
It's not worth it.
For that, we have to build on these points to bring peace and hope to both nations and come back to work together and coexist together. We cannot let all the people become Jewish. We cannot bring all the people become Muslims, neither Christians, but we can live together in peace, dialogue, and equal. And this is the most important issue for this meeting.
Well, Elias, I really appreciate your time. I really appreciate your insights because I think it's important for the audience that's listening not to just be hearing my perspective and my angle. That's why I have a variety of people that come into this platform, and to be able to hear from a Palestinian Christian living in Bethlehem, to hear your perspective is going to be hopefully enriching for whoever's been listening now, and also to see that people like me that had been demonized by the media, that are considered radicals or whatever, and just want to have conflict with my neighbor. The whole point of this podcast is actually to have the dialogues, to have the conversations, and to put your voice out there. And I've also had Mudar Zaran, you probably know of him as well, a Palestinian who's been living in exile for many years, and just different people like this that to show people, look, we're trying to have the dialogue, we're trying to move forward. But as you pointed out, there are many obstacles, if they be political, if they be educational, if they be that we put up fences between ourselves rather than trying to sit down and have actual and real dialogue. And I hope that this conversation will be helping enrich people's understanding from your position and where you're coming from. And I really appreciate you sharing that with us this morning. Appreciate that. Thank you.
Our duty. This is our duty. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Well, folks, if you enjoyed that, please make sure to subscribe, to share this message, to share this podcast episode, because, like I pointed out here earlier, you are going to be unfortunately exposed to either a political kind of agenda that's either anti-Israel or trying to demonize a side. As I point out with Tucker Carlson, he had two Christians from Bethlehem on his show, but he did not have Elias, and he did not have other people like Elias who aren't really interested in trying to smear an agenda, but actually just tell their own story and their own perspective. And that's why he's on the show here today. And hopefully this will help make some clarity from, again, the propaganda that's going out there against both Israel and the Palestinians. And that's why it's important to share this message and to get it in as many hands as possible, or eyes as possible, and ears. And I hope you enjoyed this, guys. Thank you for listening. Have a wonderful week, and shalom.
Shalom.